Just don't ask me what I did today. The Cabinet of Curiosities. Good day, dear friends. My name is Andrei Nikolaevich, and this is my channel. Today on the Cabinet of Curiosities, we will examine a real icon of paleontology, which over the years has induced so much awe and wonder. It is the skull of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, the one and only. This opportunity was very graciously presented to me for the video and some osteological conclusions, so to speak, by the Kunstkamera shop and workshop. All the links will be in the description. Stop by, take a look. The guys there are doing some amazing stuff. Everything to do with nature, animals, entomology, and so much more can be found in the shop of the Kunstkamera workshop. I love paleontology and I love osteology. The combination of these two interests have led me here to this skull, so that we can examine it very closely. So then, the exhibit before us is a replica of a real skull which was found in Hell Creek in Montana. This skull was made with the help of 3D printing, and it consists of 60 separate pieces connected together. It presents a very accurate copy of the original T-Rex skull, a replica. Let's take a look at the size of the entire dinosaur. The size is very impressive. 12 meters in length, 4 meters in height at the hip, weighed approximately 7 tons. A simply terrifying skull, varying between 1.5 and 2 meters. Teeth which could reach up to 30 centimeters. Even the fabled saber-toothed tiger with its hypertrophied fangs would not stand close to the T-Rex in terms of fang length. The Tyrannosaurus Rex reigns supreme here. This predator had the most powerful bite of its era. It is approximated that it bit down with around 300 kilonewtons. There were arguments about what the dinosaur really was, whether the Tyrannosaurus Rex was a predator or a scavenger. But today, thanks to the structure of the unearthed and studied skull, everyone leans towards the theory that it was a predator after all and not a scavenger. It was an animal that tracked and attacked its prey. We need to remember that the aforementioned prey was not a small, dexterous animal. These were huge dinosaurs, Triceratops and Hadrosaurus, which in size were comparable to a modern-day lorry. Their mobility and the ability to turn around was that of a T-Rex. This meant that catching up to them was not a problem. The gargantuan weight of a Tyrannosaurus is an indication that it couldn't move around very quickly. The creature was so heavy, in fact, that whether it could run or not is under question. Therefore, it would track, sneak up on them, and eat. Its binocular vision supports this theory. It could track its prey with both eyes. The mobility of its lower jaw was also as important, meaning that when you bite down with your huge jaw on a gigantic animal, the latter starts resisting, it tries to escape. And if the Tyrannosaurus Rex had a fixed jaw, like some modern reptiles, such as the crocodile and so on, then it would simply be broken. But this jaw was not fixed. The T-Rex was a very aggressive animal, and this aggression was on display even amongst its own kind, which puts in question their social abilities, so to speak. Evidence of this is the two unearthed skeletons of theropods Stan and Sue. They lived almost 66 million years ago. The skeletons are in exceptional condition, 70%, and both exhibits have numerous injuries on their bodies. They look like bite marks. This birthed a theory that during their adolescence, the T-Rexes could injure each other as their hunting skills were developing. A hunter, a killer, and so on. Another favorite topic of paleontologists and dinosaur lovers in general is, of course, the tiny front limbs that the T-Rex had. The T-Rex and other dinosaurs in that family group. These front limbs were, in fact, basically useless. They were extremely rudimentary. They likely developed that way due to the fact that the T-Rex's jaw was so powerful and mobile, leaving the front limbs obsolete. So, why is the Tyrannosaurus so popular with the masses? The main reason is, of course, Michael Crichton's book, Jurassic Park, as well as the series of films of the same name that followed. There were, however, many huge dinosaurs during the Mesozoic period, such as the Carcharodontosaurus, the one you can see on my mighty chest right now. The Gigantosaurus, the Spinosaurus, and many other amazing creatures lived in that period. However, I suppose that it was a collection of popular factors that gave the T-Rex all the fame. The massive head, the powerful gargantuan body, all this amalgamated in the popularity and the iconic, graceful, beautiful image of this ultimate killer beast that resided in this era. What can be said about modern paleontology and the position of skulls on the markets of paleontology? The price on the exhibit before us, I mean, of course, the actual skull from which the replica was made. That skull is worth approximately $7 million. One single tooth of a Tyrannosaurus rex was recently auctioned off for $100,000. That tooth was approximately 20 centimeters long. Even a fragment of a T-Rex tooth, one which can be approximately 4 centimeters long, can be worth up to $80,000. Not every tooth is worth that much, of course. The price depends upon the condition of the tooth. The majority of items found with relation to the T-Rex are found in the United States. This is, of course, due to the skyrocketing to fame of this particular dinosaur. There are now many professional and amateur paleontologists investigating the T-Rex. It turned into a massive industry which involves parks, films, and the like. All these factors contribute to the development of this fascinating area of research. There is also a modern theory that, unlike the depictions in the famous Spielberg films, dinosaurs were not green or gray. Dinosaurs could have possibly been of all different colors. Some, for example, had feathers. This is suggested by modern research of a variety of animals, such as lizards and birds. It is considered that birds are the modern-day continuation of the dinosaur gene. What else can we say about this skull? Right here, we can observe the absence of certain teeth. Did they fall out due to natural causes, or were they left in the body of some unfortunate prey? We will, of course, never know. Nevertheless, this is still fuel for imagination. We can also observe a new tooth, one that was still growing. I observed a similar thing on a Massasaurus skull, which I saw in St. Petersburg. On that particular exhibit, it was also clear to see where the new teeth were growing. Since I have the opportunity to stick my head in the T-Rex's mouth, to really feel the size of this beast, there is something to it. Something like this, I guess. Just don't ask me what I did today. Let's take a look at the structure of the skull before us. The real thing, of course, has a lot more detail, and the bones are not quite as perfect as they're here. But nevertheless, even here I can show you what was where on the Tyrannosaurus. This part here, the part by the nostrils, its nostrils were right here, exactly where I stuck my hand in. This section is referred to as the premaxilla. Then over here we have the upper jawbone, where the top row of teeth is located. At the bottom is the dentary bone. Your favorite part's coming up next, the mandible. Yeah! The mandible stretches from the jaw connection and runs all the way down to the dentary bone. This is the dentary bone, the teeth are there, and this is the mandible. Then we have the nostrils, as I mentioned earlier. The nasal bone is right over here. Then we have the preocular bone, the eye socket. Then on the other side is the cranial box. So that is, in a nutshell, what a T-Rex skull consists of. If 1 million years ago the T-Rexes lived in Russia, then they would have undoubtedly fed on mammoths. And by the way, please check out the video where we eat a mammoth, which was found in Russia. It is very interesting. It is up and running. It is one of the first videos on my channel. It's very unusual. I recommend it. Well, it has taste. There is another theory circulating in paleontology that the T-Rex could have had lips, because teeth this size would undoubtedly need some kind of protection. However, paleontologists are divided into two camps. The other camp, of course, refutes this point, saying that the lips would only get in the way. They would be a hindrance. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Would lips be a hindrance? It is also believed that the Tyrannosaurus rex had a very good sense of charm. Ha, kidding. The bourgeoisie. It is believed that the Tyrannosaurus rex had a good sense of smell. because it was necessary for them. Because, as I said earlier, it wasn't a very mobile creature, therefore, smell would have allowed them to identify its prey from far away. It could also hear very low frequencies, very similar to many aquatic animals. Some aquatic animals can pick up on these frequencies from great distances, such as a heartbeat or maybe a roar and other similar sounds, the so-called infrasound. Now let's get back to the binocular vision of the Tyrannosaurus rex. Estimations inform us that it could see up to 6 kilometers in front of itself. As a comparison, a human being can see approximately 1.5 kilometers. I can see 2. At night? At night. Without glasses? Obviously. A little more detail about its body, its skin, and the feathers which I mentioned earlier. Modern-day theories state that it is indeed possible that the T-Rex was actually covered in feathers, but it depended on the age of the animal. A young T-Rex could have had feathers and lost them as it matured into an adult. From that moment on, it was covered in scales. The size of a T-Rex's eyes were slightly larger than a grapefruit. Additionally, they were protected by some kind of leathery bone growth to protect the eyes from any kind of damage in a struggle. It was an important organ. I will also speak about the stance of a T-Rex. On all the pictures which we saw since childhood, we see the Tyrannosaurus rex with its tail lowered to the ground and its head raised up, something like this. In reality, that's wrong. As strange as it is, the correct stance of a T-Rex is portrayed in the Jurassic Park. The thing is that if the T-Rex stood as we saw in the childhood pictures, it would lead to a dislocated hip joint, meaning that it had to balance itself out. It was necessary for the animal to balance its massive head with its tail in order to move comfortably. The film got the stance right by complete accident. There are also relatively clear differences between the male and the female variants of the Tyrannosaurus rex. There are 2 types, robust and gracile. The first type had a much bigger pelvic bone, in order for it to be easier to lay eggs. The second type was a lot more compact, a lot more elegant, and that was the shape of the male. What about the metabolism of a T-Rex? It was the closest to reptiles. In other words, rather slow. And, according to estimates, a T-Rex required about 40,000 calories a day. So, if we take a 100-gram piece of meat, it has about 150 calories. That would mean that a T-Rex would consume between 60 and 80 kilograms of meat per day, which, given the size of the animal, isn't all that much. The modern predators, warm-blooded predators, the ones that have a very active lifestyle, need to consume a larger amount of calories per kilogram of weight than a T-Rex. All in all, there have been approximately 50 skeletons of Tyrannosaurus rexes uncovered in a good condition. The youngest of the lot was approximately 2 years old, and it weighed around 30 kilograms. On the other side, the largest weighed approximately 9 tons and was about 30 years old. As a species, the T-Rex was uncovered in 1905. At first, it was assumed that the Tyrannosaurus rex traveled on all fours. This was because the first bones discovered in 1905 did not paint a clear picture, and only in 1915 was it confirmed that the T-Rex was in fact bipedal. It lived predominantly in North America, where the modern-day states of Montana and Wyoming are located. Some T-Rex remains are also found in the north of Mexico. It is supposed that the Tyrannosaurus rex went extinct with all the other dinosaurs about 60 million years ago. So, this is our little excursion into the history and life of the Tyrannosaurus rex. I was lucky enough to see this exhibit up close, and I'm very thankful for it. This is a rare occasion, and I'm honored to be part of it. Once again, a big thank you to the staff of the Kunstkamera workshop, that they create these amazing exhibits, which allows me to tell you all about them. Please react, comment, tell me which are your favorite dinosaurs. And on top of that, let's have a little contest. Let's see who can come up with the coolest name for this dinosaur. And the coolest name will undoubtedly get a prize. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe, comment. Thanks so much. The Cabinet of Curiosities.